Thanks, Julie. I don't think I need the mic. I have a gym voice. I was a coach for a very long time. So that just limits you in what you want to do.
Except when people.
I'm sorry for the online people. I have a movable then? There were mics back. No, that's not gonna work either. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. All right. Name, image, and likeness. A lot of you probably have heard about this or seen this. My group and I have been across pretty much Bloomington Normal area and even into Peoria to talk about name, image, and likeness. Now, this program is new to the NCAA and for our student athletes. It started out when there was a student athlete from UCLA. He saw when he was playing one of those online gaming sports. Now you got e-gaming, but this was like the John Madden EA sports. And he recognized himself in those videos that were being sold for hundreds of dollars, but he was not getting any kickback for that. The jerseys that are being sold in Target or campus bookstores that have a student athlete's name and their number on the back, the bookstores are making money off of that student athlete's name, but the student athlete isn't making anything off of that. So that's why there was a big push to allow student athletes to monetize off of their name, image, likeness. And the state of Illinois also has voice. So being paid for a podcast, being paid for a voiceover. All right. Now the NCAA just put into law, their law, as of July of 2021, that student athletes can now monetize off their name, image, and likeness. Some states started rolling before that. So states were putting in their own laws. Illinois was one of those states. There are only about 22 states currently that have state laws that go along with NIL. The rest of them don't have them finalized yet, or they're in the process of getting them finalized. The NCAA has come out with a second interim policy, but if your state has a policy, that state policy rules over the NCAA policy. Right. So right now everyone's operating on their own state law, or if they don't have a state law, the NCAA's law. All right. So that's the groundswell of it all. So initially it started out that you could, if you had a trade, so if you were a baker and you want to sell goods, you could do that. Excuse me. If you had a small business that you had, and you wanted to monetize off that, you could do that. Now it's more into something more major than that. We in Illinois can assist our student athletes as an athletic department member. We can assist them in lining up different organizations to help support them in what they want to do. So for instance, if REMAX wants to hire in a student athlete to do a promo for them, they can do that and pay them the going rate. Who decides what the going rate is? Well, that's something that has to be kind of reviewed and evaluated, because we don't really know what the going rate for a student athlete is, because student athletes haven't been able to do this before. So when you hear that there are some of these groups out there that are raising millions of dollars because they want to recruit or retain a student athlete of theirs, that's illegal. They cannot do that. They have to pay what the going rate is. All right. So this is what we This is what we provide for our student athletes in visual. Every campus has their own tagline for what their name, image, likeness, and voice program is. Ours is visualized, okay, very creative, because we put ISU and highlight ISU within that. And so this is what we provide for our student athletes. Along with the state law, it says that you must provide education. So we provide education on taxation, on running your own business, on balancing your books, professional development. Working with all the companies that our student athletes work with gives them built-in professional development. Community engagement. They're going out, they're meeting people. Julie Dodsky's one of our big supporters in our area. She's helped our student athletes in the community engagement area. Next. All right, so that's me, big old head over here. Okay, these are two of my staff members who are actually the people who are on the ground doing the work. Usually they're here presenting and I'm just home sleeping, but I decided to give them the morning off today. So Maya Bolger was hired in as the director of name, image, and likeness. She was a graduate assistant for us in our events area. But she said that if we had a position for her in the NIL space, she would stay with us. So we created a space for her because we needed someone in that area. Dayton Haynes was also a graduate assistant of ours. She was more in the communication line, but now she's more in the social media line. So she helps our student athletes kind of scrub their timelines. Nothing, they don't need to have anything on their social media platforms that they would not want their grandmother or their mom or their dad or anyone in their family to be discouraged looking at. So that's our staff. So I've spoken to you about what NIL is. It's just a legal concept. And again, it's about student athletes being able now to earn money off of whatever they can do. What we don't allow them to do at this time is use ISU marks. Okay, so they can't use the Reggie logo. Okay, they can't use the university seal. Whenever they put anything out, and if they're in uniform, they have to make sure that they're kind of washed away. Illinois State washed away the logo that they have on the jersey. So they can do it clothing line. Some of our kids have started their own clothing line. They can make appearances and they can run camps. We talk about podcasts. We talk about NFTs. Who knows what an NFT is? What is it?
Thanks, Kim.
A giant scam. That's not really what a scam is, but yeah, I would agree. It is a giant scam. A non-fungible, tangible. Okay, so there you go. Fungible. What does fungible mean? Okay, it's not fungus. Okay. I'm just asking. All right, thank you. A social media release that we did highlighting some of the projects that our student athletes did in the name, image, and likeness space. And so when you saw all of those check marks going up there, those show that they were verified accounts. But if you read as of yesterday, now those verified accounts will be charged $20 a month if they want to keep them verified. All right. So unfortunately, I'm going to be in that space where we can highlight and pay for each one of our sport programs that have been verified. You have to go through a process for that. Which basically means if you've got numbers of followers or you have done stories that are engaging. And so none of our student athletes were able to get verified because they have a story to tell, but now it's going to cost them. So that's something that we're going to have to think about, reevaluate, and decide if we want to be down that path. Next. So these are three of the social media campaigns that some of our student athletes have done. And we highlighted these three because these three student athletes, two of them are football players and one is the gymnastics team. They were doing it as a fundraiser in which they donated back to different causes and organizations. So Kobe Rios, I've got one of those sweatshirts. It's amazing. It looks just like him. So he decided to take all the earnings that he made off the sale of his t-shirts and sweatshirts to donate to Western Avenue Community Center. He did not keep any of that money. We got another young man who decided that he wanted to give back to breast cancer awareness. His aunt and his mom had breast cancer. So he took the monies that he earned from the sale of those socks and he donated it to an organization. The candles on the end were sponsored by a company out of Michigan for our gymnastics program. And their proceeds went back to a women's endowment to help support women's sports. So those are some things that we want to highlight by doing press releases for our student athletes to get the word out for their philanthropic giving back to organizations. Now, here are some things that our student athletes have done on their own. A lot of them connect with supplement companies or energy drinks because that's what they're spending money on anyway. So with these companies sponsoring them, now they're able to keep that money in their pocket. Otherwise, they would have spent it. So it's a savings for them, but they're still getting the product that they wanted to get. And then our own logo, Mr. Colton Sandwich, who I call Sandwich, you know, it's lunchtime every time he scores a bucket on people. And if any of you were on the scrimmage on Sunday, so he scored a lot of buckets. So he did a promotion with a rental company here, Keller Williams. I don't know if anyone from Keller Williams is here. No. Okay, So he did a promotion with them, and he was able to be paid for this, which he would have not been able to do prior to July of 2021. So I spoke about social media and branding and what Dayton Haynes does for us. So this is what she does. Like I said, it's the account cleanup. Have to make sure that they're representing themselves well, because their name, their image, their likeness, their voice is their brand. So they have to make sure that everything is standing up to code. You know, showing value through engagement. That's when I talk about the verified check marks, making sure that if they are going to sign on to work with a company for NIL, they've got to make sure that they're doing what that company has asked them to do. So they've got to stay engaged. And some of those things, maybe you got to tweet out, you know what, twice a week for 6 months. And that's part of their deal. So they'll get their trade by just showing up and making sure that they're engaging with the community. Audience, content, evaluation, verification on social. I spoke about those check marks, that's what that is. And then Maya will reach out to student athletes, or they will come directly to her and say, Maya, these are my interests. Can you see if there's anyone out there who wants to support me in this area? And what people don't understand is that not all of our student athletes are on full ride scholarships. We only have a handful of sports by NCAA ruling can be on full ride scholarships. Our football program is not a Power 5 football program. We do not have 85 full ride scholarships. All right. Some of our guys may have full rides, but the rest of them have what we call equivalencies. So they've got partial scholarships. So they may be on 50% tuition, maybe on 100% tuition, but then they've got to backfill the rest of that, you know, to make sure that they have enough money to go to school. Resources overview, you know, we talk about education. So the student athlete branding, influencer is our online database. And so our student athletes, whenever they sign a deal with someone, they have to log that in our influencer. So that lets us know, okay, what is it that you're doing? How much are you getting paid for it? So if there are any improprieties that pop up, that's a flag to us. So influencer is our market platform. Talk about education, what that is. You know, agents and lawyers. If there are some of our student athletes that sign over a $5,000 contract, they have to make sure that they are in a contract. Someone's reviewing that contract to make sure that they are not being taken advantage of. We've seen that there are some contracts that want to utilize student athletes' name, image, likeness for life. That is not what this is. And some student athletes get duped into that because they don't have anyone read the contract that's being provided to them. Community engagement, you know, connecting student athletes with companies, talked about the student athletes who donated resources back. Also educating businesses is big, you know, because this is new. People are still learning about what this is. How can they assist our student athletes? There are many ways that our student athletes can be assisted. Okay, I left on each table just a couple pieces of information. Please review that, take photos of it. If you want to talk to Dayton about, or Maya about, or me about any of it, please feel free to reach out to us. We're always available. Professional development, bringing in, you know, we signed with SEPQ, so SEPQ is now our financial literacy platform for our student athletes, helping them, you know, finagle the finances that they are bringing in and how to balance that out. Visualize ambassadors. That's something new that Maya has started working with the College of Business on. So now we've got about, I think it's 21 students who will be assigned student athletes to be their ambassador to help them through the process. If someone wants to do a full blown out clothing line, those ambassadors are going to help them with every step of the way. We're going to educate those ambassadors on what they need to look for, what they need to do so that they can assist the student athletes in any area that they want to go into. Empower the Nest. This is part 2 of the Visualize program. So Empower the Nest is a collective. So how is that different from the Visualize program that we do? Okay, the collective has a board of directors. What the collective does is they will make contact with different businesses, organizations, individuals to put money into a pot, and then they will work with student athletes to assign them to different entities as a part of their name, image, and likeness deal. So you've got the student athletes on one side with Visualize, who are reaching out, making connections through Maya. And then you've got the collective for the student athletes who really, you know what, I'm shy, I can't do that, that's not my thing. So now the collective can help them with that. because the collective will connect them with people. Whereas on this side with Visualize, they're pretty much doing it on their own, or they're doing it with Maya. All right, so you've got Chris here from Visualize, Julie's a part of Visualize, they are part of the board of directors for Visualize. For Empower the Nest. All right, so if you guys, Chris, if you want to say anything about Empower the Nest and what you guys have been up to?
Yeah, we were brand new. We got thrown into this to help ISU. And
Use the microphone.
Oh, I need a microphone.
Use the microphone, that's the boss talking back there.
All right. Empower the Nest is very new. We just started. We just got our bank accounts, everything put together. So we're out there soliciting businesses for donations or for name, image, and likeness deals for student athletes. So we are kind of the go-between between ISU and the student. There's a gray line in there that we play in to make sure that we don't cross the line. And Maya really helps us make sure that we're on the straight and narrow. We are a group of volunteers. We are not trying to profit this. We're trying to get as much money back to the student athlete as we possibly can. So if there's any questions that I can answer afterwards too, please let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. So all we're trying to do is provide opportunities for our student athletes and access for our student athletes to earn a little bit of money while they're a student athlete at ISU. Like I said, not all of our student athletes are on full ride scholarships. If you know the schedule of a student athlete, you know they've got classes to balance, they've got 20 hours of practice, they've got strength conditioning, they've got study tables, they've got rehab. So they don't really have a lot of time in which they can hold a even part-time job. One of our student athletes who is a part of the Visualize program, she was actually able to stop working at her job because she was making enough from Visualize, using her name, image, and likeness. Because this is something usually that you can do on your own time, as opposed to being structured and in time. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Well, I got some questions on this one. I think you fascinating topic. Looking at a lot of people across the country, it still sounds like it's the Wild Wild West up there. It really is. So I really have two questions. Does the sponsor who wants that use that athlete go directly to them, or get to go to you first, or how does that logistically work? That's my first question. The follow-up is there's rumors out that there's parents already know about this, so you got to talk with the country, and they are not even in college. You got when they go to recruit, being solicited by these schools, supposedly they're assisted with name and likeness.
That's illegal.
It is illegal.
What you can do, let me answer that one first. So what you can do, you can show your recruits, and Maya and Dayton meet with prospects as well. So they've met with tons of prospects from baseball, from men's basketball. So whoever wants them to meet, they can. So what they will tell them is, we have an NIL program. This is what it looks like. These are examples of what our student athletes have done in the NIL space. You cannot make promises. You cannot use that money to retain.
Can you show them figures how much?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How much money?
Yep. Yep. You can do that. And part two, you can go either way. So student athlete or business can go reach out through Maya, in which some have done because of all these presentations that we've been doing, to say, I want a student athlete in this area to represent X. So then Maya can give them a selection of student athletes to work with, or the business go directly to the student athlete. But the student athlete eventually will come to Maya so that we can document it all, so that we have it, in our ledger.
Is that student athlete sort of considered a Heisman trophy, the son for a Heisman candidate, considers often bid something money?
If they're offering you before you even get there, that's illegal.
No, but if you're playing, you're active today.
Okay.
And you've got an auto dealer wanting to pay for that name and likeness.
Yep.
Come use the guy at $500,000.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because not just that $500,000, but kids, you talk about the education and financial literacy, even if it's trade, what's the value of that? Now, student athlete, do you have the cash to pay the taxes on that? When it comes time to disclose everything that you have. So that's an education process of it as well. If it's cash, you better put 30% of that away to start with. To make sure that you've got the tax money. If it's trade and it's large value, then you've got to find something else to get the cash so that now you can pay the taxes on that trade. There's a hand back there.
I'd say one more and then we'll wrap her up.
Oh, wow. Sorry. See, it wasn't my fault.
I want to thank you for being here today. I had the opportunity to visit with Maya and Dave both at the after hours at the Hancock Stadium. And I met a young lady who has been working with vein specialists. And
Mary Crompton,
Mary, yeah, no Miss Mary.
no Miss Mary.
No, and she was telling me about this, and then she was telling me that as their relationship evolved, she's been able to interact with patients, and she is in pre-med. And it was so cool to watch her just glow with pride, not for the money that she was getting, but because of the support and the advances.
It's past the point of being a student athlete, you know, so this is what she's doing professionally. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I'll
I'm
be
sure
here.
Nona can hang around for a few minutes if people have other questions, so thank you.